Hey everyone, I'm going to do a short deck tech on the 5 decks that I've chosen for MinMax Battle number 2. We are in Legacy currently shortly after the release of M20. So we have Modern Horizons, M20, War of the Spark, kind of all wrapped into one with a handful of new cards for most of these decks to be trying out. Um, First off, we're going to start off probably with Ad Nauseam Tendrils. This is a list sent to me by Cliffy, Michael Clifford, Cliffy81 on Magic Online. Awesome Storm player, one of the best in the world. And this list is basically incorporating Veil of Summer, a new card from Modern Horizons. Sorry, excuse me, from M20, that basically kind of allows Storm to have its own counter magic. Next up, we have Grixis Delver. This is kind of the stock Grixis Delver approach these days with Dreadhorde Arcanist, um, and some discard spells with Gourmet Gangler, and then some copies of Plague Engineer, which is one of the newer cards from Modern Horizons that has been shining a lot in a lot of these decks. It's kind of this asymmetrical way to answer Training Nemesis and so on. It's very powerful. Then we have Blue Red Delver, which this list is very similar to MZ Frosty's list on Magic Online. I believe the main deck is the same. I haven't changed a card from it, except for these, which I'll come back to in just a moment. But I swapped out some of the sideboard counter magic slots for a copy of Submerge and a copy of Hydroblast, which are pretty good in Legacy right now, just due to the fact that um, both these red cards, Treasure Arcanist and Ren N6, are taking over the format, and Submerge. Tarmogoyf is seeing a bit of a resurgence in play, and this deck has a fair amount of difficulty answering a Tarmogoyf. So Submerge is kind of an additional answer for that card. Um, then we have Blue White Miracles, which we have. I'm playing a blue white single Tundra list because of the Prismatic Vista. I think this card changes a lot of the mana sequencing that blue white demands of you. And I've kind of gotten back to my tried and true variation of blue white, kind of the quote unquote show and tell concept of just slamming powerful permanents into play. And my sideboard has 2 Hydroblasts and a Dovin's Veto to kind of supplement the existing matchups that this deck can kind of fight against. And then lastly, we have Grixis Snow. Now, this deck is actually the primary reason why you see every single one of these decks has snow-covered basics instead of regular basics, because I want to kind of feign which deck I'm playing if we go into like the fourth or fifth match. And I can hide that I'm playing Snow-Covered Islands Mountain, and I can hide which deck I'm playing, essentially. But this deck is kind of based off of the brainchild of Jarvis Yu. At least that's where I first saw something like this. And it kind of uses the concept of snow basics to alleviate some of the mana problems that traditional Grixis control does have. It's one of my main problems with traditional Grixis control. It's difficult to kind of do double blue, double black, double red black, kind of all in the same series of turns. I'm playing the Hydroblasts here as well, and then one additional force negation in the sideboard. But Dead of Winter kind of allows you to take less life in terms of hits in order to actually pull off the Wrath effect for something like this. Now, this card is somewhat less effective against the Resurgence of Tarmogoyf, but we're hoping that the Baleful Strixes and the additional Fatal Push that I added into the deck can kind of help solve that problem as well. So yeah, all of these decks are playing snow-covered basics to kind of feign which deck I'm going to be playing as, and Arkham's Astrolabe kind of helps alleviate some of that mana concern that Grixis Control has on normally. Now, I will say that I'm not playing any Ren and 6 decks. That's mostly intentional, as I believe that some of these archetypes sidestep or fight against Ren and 6 fairly effectively. Delver from just Grixis Delver is probably the one that's weakest to opposing Ren and 6 strategies, just simply due to the fact that it doesn't really sidestep Ren in any way. But like Grixis Snow, it has basics. It has back to basics as well, and reach to beat up against opposing Ren and 6 decks. Blue Red Delver has Wasteland, the fast clock, and a slew of burn spells to kind of keep Ren 6 under control. Although Ren going up to 4 loyalty is obviously going to be a huge issue. Blue White Miracles has back to basics and copies of Hydroblast on the sideboard, as well as Force of Negations to kind of alleviate Ren 6 pressure once again. And Ant, Ren 6 decks tend to be somewhat grindy, and Ant I think sidesteps that very heavily. And just by virtue of being a fast combo deck and a fast and resilient combo deck. So we're going to give this a shot against Max and see who wins. See you in the matches.